He did not regret buying the Audi A4. He regretted taking 3 years to realize something. The $43,000 he paid was actually a financial lesson. A lesson that should have cost him one evening with a calculator. He was a 29-year-old engineer in Dallas. He had just received his first real raise after 3 years. He walked into an Audi showroom, feeling like he had finally earned it. He drove home in a Mythos Black A4 Premium Plus. 3 years later, he sat down to value his car before buying a new one. The screen showed $23,000, not $43,000, not $35,000, $23,000. In those few seconds of silence, everything became clear. The entire calculation he should have run 3 years earlier was right there. This is the story of what he saw in that moment, and why it happens to smarter people than most of us would expect. The Audi A4 is not a bad car. That is important to say up front. This is not a video about bashing cars. It is about how a good car can become a bad financial decision. That happens when it is bought by someone who does not fit the right profile. The 2024 Audi A4 starts with the premium trim. The premium trim starts at $43,285. Premium Plus is $48,000. Prestige is $53,475. This is the entry point into German luxury sedans. For young professionals, it is the car they reach for when income finally rises. That is exactly why the A4 is the most perfectly designed trap on the market. Not because it is bad. It targets the psychology of one very specific type of person. Someone smart, hardworking, newly successful enough to feel they have earned it, and not yet experienced enough to know something important. Feeling deserving and being financially wise about it are not the same thing. Car Edge is direct. Buy new and you will lose about half the value in 5 years. Let someone else buy new, then buy it back at 3 years old for 37% less. It may still have warranty coverage. That is advice no Audi salesperson will ever give you inside a showroom, and that is exactly why you need to hear it somewhere else. Before you walk in, not after. Here is the first truth, and the biggest one, not because the number is the largest, but because it is the most invisible, silent, and dangerous cost in ownership. Depreciation has no invoice. It does not show up in your bank account month by month like insurance or gas. It shows up once, the day you sit down to value your car before trading. For A4 buyers, that day is often the worst in their personal finance history. I see cars analyzed over 15 million real vehicle transactions. The Audi A4 loses 49.3% of its value after 5 years. On a $43,000 car, that leaves just over $21,000. That residual sits at around $21,313. That tops the luxury compact car average of 45.6%. It also beats the overall sedan average of 38.9%. Compared directly to the Lexus IS350, the Audi A4 loses 55% of its value after 5 years. The Lexus IS350 loses only 37.3%. Lexus holds its value 17.7 points better per IC cars. Let's convert that into real dollars. Buy a new A4 Premium Plus for $48,000. After 5 years, it is worth $21,000 to $23,000. Buy a new Lexus IS350 for $45,913. After 5 years, it is worth $28,000 to $29,000. The Lexus costs $2,000 less up front. It also returns $6,000 to $7,000 more when you sell. The Lexus depreciation advantage adds up to $8,000 to $9,000. All of that before counting a single maintenance bill. Within Audi's own lineup, the A4 is one of the worst models for value retention. The TT, S4, and RS5 all hold their value significantly better. The cheapest Audi badge is also the quickest to lose value in the brand. Here is the number Audi definitely does not want printed in any brochure. It is also the number most A4 buyers only find after they have already signed. The 2024 J.D. Power Vehicle Dependability Study covers long-term reliability. In that study, Audi ranked second to last in the entire ranking. Not below average, not near the bottom. Second to last, only above Chrysler, and worse than Land Rover. The brand everyone knows as the least reliable on the American market. Audi ranked below Land Rover for long-term dependability. That is not a personal opinion. The data comes from tens of thousands of real owners surveyed independently. Consumer Reports ranks Audi 19th out of 30 brands for reliability. That is below the industry average. Meanwhile, Lexus and Toyota have held the top 3 spots year after year. The commonly reported issues on the Audi A4 are not minor. Electrical system failures, including dashboard lights and the MMI system. Oil leaks and excessive oil consumption. Timing belt failures. Brake pad wear occurring earlier than expected. The S-tronic DCT transmission is more complex than a standard automatic. It requires specialized service every 40,000 miles. That service runs $300 to $600 each time. These are problems on a $43,000 car. Not a budget vehicle. Not a cheap car. Consumer Reports also notes the 2022 A4 was recalled 3 times by NHTSA. Scoring below Land Rover on dependability changes the question entirely. It is no longer whether you can afford to buy it. It is whether you have enough information to decide if you should. The hidden cost does not show up on month 1. It shows up on month 25, month 37, and month 49. That is when the warranty runs out and every cost shifts fully onto you. For the Audi A4, that is when the real math begins. A4 maintenance requires Audi-approved synthetic oil. It also needs Audi-certified technicians and a dealer or specialist shop. Those 3 factors push costs well above comparable Japanese vehicles, and there is no way around them if you want the warranty to stay valid. Dealer oil changes on the A4 run $150 to $250. Front brake replacement runs $500 to $900. The MMI system is the most commonly reported failure point on the A4. Fixing or replacing it runs $800 to $2,000. Timing belt service is recommended every 60 to 80,000 miles. That runs $1,200 to $2,000. The S-tronic DCT needs special fluid service every 40,000 miles. That runs $300 to $600. Each of these looks manageable on its own. Stacked over 5 years, they open a wide gap versus the Lexus IS or Acura TLX. Those brands use parts available at independent shops. No specialist technicians required. No parts ordered from Germany with a 1-week wait. Audi operates around 300 dealerships in the United States. Toyota has more than 1,500 dealerships. Honda has more than 1,000. Audi operates around 300. Far fewer. In smaller cities, the nearest Audi dealer can be 1 to 2 hours away. When the car needs service, that distance is not an inconvenience. It is a real cost, measured in time, rental cars, and disrupted schedules. None of that appears in any line of the purchase contract. But it is real, and it accumulates. This is the part where the video flips completely, and it is why the title is not "Why Audi A4 is Bad," but "He Realized the Truth." The 4th truth is not that the Audi A4 is a bad car. The 4th truth is that smart people do not buy a new Audi A4. They buy a used one and let someone else take the most expensive hit. CarEdge breaks it down clearly. Buy a 3-year-old A4 for 37% less than new. At that point, you are paying 64% of the new car price. You are getting 92% of the remaining lifespan. And you are often still within powertrain warranty coverage. That is a completely different calculation. $43,285 for a new A4. You absorb the steepest depreciation curve in year 1 and year 2. $28,000 for a 3-year-old A4. You start at a point where the curve has already flattened significantly. The worst depreciation has been absorbed by the previous owner. People who truly understand Audi know something else about the lineup. The S4, TT, and RS5 hold their value considerably better than the A4. If budget allows, those are the more rational models to buy new. The A4 is the entry point of the brand. Entry points depreciate fastest because first-time buyers cluster there. Second-time Audi buyers rarely buy a new A4. That is the information you need before the first time, not after. This is the most important part, and it is why this video is called Realize the Truth, not why you shouldn't buy an Audi. Because the truth is not about the car. It is about how we decide when emotion and finance collide. The engineer in Dallas did not buy the Audi A4 because he was not smart. He bought it because he was smart in the wrong direction. He optimized for feeling deserving, not for total cost of ownership. And that is a mistake smart people make more often than average people. Because smart people are good at rationalizing. They build a convincing story for why the decision is right. The Audi cabin really is exceptional. The driving feel really is good. Quattro all-wheel drive really is useful in Dallas winters. All of that is true. All of it arrived after the emotional decision had already been made. The realize the truth moment did not happen in the showroom. It happened 3 years later, on an ordinary evening. He typed his VIN into a valuation site and saw $23,000. In those seconds of silence, the question shifted. Not why did the car lose so much value? The question was why he never asked that before buying. That is the gap between a decision driven by emotion and one driven by data. Both start with the same car. Only one ends differently. Ending the story at $23,000 would not be honest. There is more worth saying. The Audi A4 is not a bad car for everyone. And the engineer in Dallas is not a loser. He is just someone who paid $20,000 to learn a lesson. Others learn it for free by watching the right video at the right time. If you lease an A4 for 36 months and return it before the warranty ends, if you live close to a dealer, and if the A4 carries real professional signal value in your environment, then it works well in that context. The cabin is beautiful, the driving feel is excellent, and you avoid the steepest part of the depreciation curve. But the engineer in Dallas did not fit that profile. He kept the car. He bought new instead of a 3-year-old version at 37% less. And he absorbed the full depreciation curve on his own. The next car he bought was a 2021 Lexus IS350. It was 2 years old, priced at $38,000. Same luxury feel, nearly the same price. But this time he knew exactly where he was on the depreciation curve, and he let someone else absorb the steepest part. He did not regret buying the Audi A4. He regretted not knowing these things 3 years earlier. The screen still showed $23,000. He looked at that number for a moment, then closed the laptop. Not because he did not want to face it, but because he understood enough to know something important. That $20,000 was not money lost. It was tuition for a personal finance lesson no university teaches. The difference between two questions. Question 1. What does this car say about me? Question 2. What does this car do for my finances? First-time car buyers almost always ask only the first question. Second-time buyers, after the $20,000 lesson, ask the second. And that is exactly the moment everything changes. Not when you have more money, but when you start asking better questions.